Good evening, everyone. This is the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for September 8th, 2021. We've got a short agenda today. We do not have a quorum to do our minutes from last time. So we will go directly to our first application, and that is for a side yard variance at 242 Clinton Avenue. Who will be heard in this application?
Greg Sharp, represent the Hoffman.
Oh, and yes, Mr. Sharp, I should say, just for the outsiders, the owner of this residence is a Mr. Hoffman. It's no relation to me, so I will not be recusing myself. I don't know the other Mr. Hoffman. I'm sure he's a fine gentleman.
There's a
Well, some.
sure you're not. There's
Okay,
a
go ahead, Mr.
drive
Sharp.
in here. Should I just pull this out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I think
Oh.
this is left from-
That was the last.
He'll be back.
Free project.
Oh, and I guess I always forget, we should move to open.
Oh.
I so
favor of
move.
opening.
Second,
Yes.
all in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Sorry.
Is it coming up?
It is. That's correct. Okay, better. Hello, my name is Greg Sharp. I represent the Hoffmans, who are asking for a side yard variance for renovation at 242 Clinton Avenue. This project is on a very complicated site. It's a very steep site, a very steep hilly site. And this project was driven by a number of needs. It was driven by the hill, and it was also driven by the fact that the clients would like to add 3 bedrooms to this project, but not basically take down the house, but just add to a part of the house that will allow for their 3 kids to move out of the basement and to have some beautiful river views. The existing house was built before zoning was enacted. So the existing house already penetrates the side yard variance. And so we are not penetrating the side yard any further than is already being penetrated by the existing house, which is indicated by these blue lines. So these blue lines indicate the current zoning, and this yellow line indicates what we are asking for. We're basically asking for I think a 4.5 foot side yard variance. That so this part is the existing house, and this section that's shaded in indicates the amount of the new construction that would be over the side yard setback. The reason why we need this is that so let me go back. The existing house is a very long linear house that sits on a very hilly site, sort of sloping down the hill. So the idea is not to disturb the main section of the house, but to actually put the renovation on top of the existing garage element, which is indicated in this section. The proposed design calls for a couple of things. It calls for a renovation of the existing basement. It calls for a new deck to be built off of the end. So just some design items that aren't really affected on this application. And then the rebuilding of the garage in that section. So it has some interior renovations as well as this new section. This section penetrates the proposed side yard setback because we are trying to fit 3 children's bedrooms in this arrangement so that they can have river views. The alignment of this is in position with the sight lines. So that is why the project has a slight tilt to it. And we made the rooms as tight as possible. And even with making the rooms as tight as possible, we come over the side yard about 4.5 feet, or the side yard setback. This is not the most colorful presentation there, but these for some reason didn't print out so well. But we do have some renderings indicating what we're doing. From the street, you know, with this new renovation, you will only be able to see the new section of the house. So you will not have a view of the existing house. You'll only have a section of this new element. So the concept of this is that we're creating just a very simple modern element. As you come down the driveway, you're going to come under this new section in order to access the driveway. The garage is in the same position as the existing garage. So the only element that is extending into the side yard would be this new bedroom wing. So we plan on cantilevering that section over the garage. This rear section indicates that we want to open up the rear wall of the house. This is once again not really a part of this variance, but the main component of the variance is indicated not on this elevation, but you can see clearly on this elevation that this is the section that is extending over the setback. This gives a little bit better view about what's going on. So as you come down the driveway, you could skirt into the garage. The garage, as I said, is in the same location. And this element that represents the 3 children's bedrooms is the component that is extended over the side yard setback. So this is the entire site plan. So on this side of the property, which I believe is the north side, the house is built to the current zoning side yard setback, but on the south side, the project does extend into the side yard setback, but it extends for the full length of the project. So
On the drawings, it looks like the new portion over the garage is approximately meets the roof line in terms of intrusion into that north side.
yes. Yeah, I mean, it's in alignment.
Visually, it would be about the same.
That's right. And it's in alignment, but as you can see, the current house is also over the setback line. So there's, you know, this house was built prior to zoning. And so it was never in compliance in this section, but every other component of the property, lot coverage, setbacks, everything else is in compliance. So we're talking about just one tiny little problem.
Did you send notices out to the neighbors
Yes, yeah, everyone got a notice.
and any discussion at all with?
You know, he presented it to both of his neighbors. I know that he spoke with them. I believe they were supportive. So I have not heard any negative comments back from anyone. I think they're supportive. I mean, currently the Hoffmans, they have like I said, their site is a really unique site. I mean, there's just some, obviously as an architect, I wanted to go crazy with it, but I was held, I was held to just the program. I had to just, the program is to provide, beds for their 3 kids who are currently living in the basement. So as you know, this is a program-driven project. And, the idea would really to not affect the rest of the house so that the project could be done at a reasonable thing. But I still think, there was no way to do it on the garage without having a significant architectural impact. And so the idea is to, do something that'll be nice and modern. It will still be set below street level. It will not be on par with the street level. So the houses next to it, are perched at you could see them in these photos, are perched at a much higher elevation. So this house is literally 10 feet below the street level as it is. And so, we feel that this, project will actually enhance the architecture and will be a great, and unique addition to the architectural variety of the neighborhood.
Given the uniqueness of the house, I suspect are there other approvals you need that might impact this variance request?
I'm sorry, what?
Given the uniqueness of this house,
Yeah.
are there other approvals you might need that might impact this variance request? Specifically, I imagine doing anything to this house will be of great interest to the Architectural Review Board. And they might
Absolutely.
ask you to do something that might change your variance request. Have they given their approval, or are you getting this approval and then going to the AOR?
No, you have to start with this approval. So you have to start with the ZBA and then you go to the planning board to do the drainage and all of that. So I think this gets the full spectrum of review and approvals. So, I'm very careful to try to, first, the process is that I have to satisfy my client and satisfy the program and to make sure that the project is actually doable and relevant for them. And then it goes to the building department, and the building department indicates where it goes. So you guys are the first stop, then the planning board.
If the project does change its AOB or anything, and that he will come back to zoning for a different variance, that's what would happen.
So this is somewhat conditional in a way, and so
Yes
far
and
as.
no. Usually they say, once it's issued, they
I
say.
would think unless the AHRB has some major issues or a major redesign, which I don't think would be happening.
It's a
here.
prairie style house. It's
Yeah.
kind of unique. There could be all sorts of concerns by true architects about making this kind of an adjustment to a prairie style house, which might, I'm not saying it will, but might lead to a discussion between
Good.
the ARB and this gentleman and his client that might result in a slightly different outcome.
And like I said, if that happens, then they will reapply and come back
Yeah,
for that variance.
I think the existing house, the nonconformity of the existing house versus this is relatively minor. He's pushing it out another foot,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
But it's much, much higher.
Yes.
It's like, it's a very
Yes.
different, it's a
Yes.
very different
It changes the
encroachment. No, he's
historical
gonna
style
feel.
of the house.
That said, the house is to the north.
Yeah.
Much higher,
Right.
relative to the street.
And the other is while it's going to be much more visible, it'll be blocking off the roof, which is the only thing you see of the house now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
is there anyone outside that would like to be heard on this?
Just the resident that lives at 242 Clinton is here.
Okay. We're happy to hear them speak, but we're happy to not hear them speak if they don't
They don't have
feel
their
feel
hand
like they need to.
raised.
No, I don't think we need to feel like we need to.
Waiting with bated breath.
And Mr. Chairman, a motion to close the hearing,
I'll second that.
and then a motion to grant the side yard variance requested in the application, permitting a combined setback of 35 feet, 7.25 inches, 7.125 inches, excuse me.
Forward that, or second that?
All in favor? And that's unanimous. In addition, our planner is directed to prepare a written decision reflecting the deliberations and the vote of the zoning board on this matter. The written decision will be signed by the chair and filed with the village clerk with a copy attached to tonight's meeting minutes. And that's a new procedure for us, and that will be followed for all applications that are approved or not approved.
Right.
And so
Thank you.
you're certainly welcome.
We have to make a motion to close.